Alright there, geezers, Jules here from FGS, home of the Future Game Show. And you know what's better than the glorious thrill ride of a video game? Well, doing the same thing, but with a mate right next to you, bathing in the blood of your enemies, and occasionally giving you a supportive thumbs up. It's a pretty horrifying image when you combine the two. Anyway, it's true. From watching movies, working out, and of course, clubbing seals to death, some things are just more fun with friends. Side note, by the way, that's actually one of my biggest pet peeves in gaming, where people say that it's better with friends to justify a mediocre game, like of course it's better with mates. Setting fire to a library is technically more fun with a few mates in tow. Anyway, back on track. Multiplayer games are good, but multiplayer games that are hidden within other games are even better. So let's have a chat about them. As I'm Jules, this is FGS, and this is the Deep Cut with Jules Gill, baby! Hidden multiplayer modes. And you know the drill, this is of course the Deep Cut after all, so don't expect to see the usual video games on here. They are too obvious. Anyway, let's kick things off by talking about Front Mission Gun Hazard. So let's kick this entry off with a series of questions. Clearly your favourite part of any of my videos. Anyway, do you like Armored Core? Do you like action RPGs? Do you like dusting off your SNES and waiting around 3 to 6 weeks for import copies of games not released in the West to arrive only to realise your console can't play them? If you said yes to any or all of these, then you, my friend, are going to want to know a lot more about the hushed whisper of a game that is Front Mission Gun Hazard. Released on the SNES in 1996 by Squaresoft, Gun Hazard was basically if you took Armored Core, slapped the third dimension off of it, and dressed it in graphics so gritty it was like getting sand in your eyes. It was a literal blast to play, and hot damn, was it pretty challenging. Almost as challenging as figuring out what musical genre the box art characters would make, because this looks like an album cover for the ages. Whatever they're playing, it's going to be sad. And that guy at the end, maybe a bit weird. That said, you could make things slightly easier for yourself if you had a buddy on hand. As it turns out that there's a secret two-player mode that is built into the game which could be activated by pressing down plus L plus R plus start as you're selecting which AI partner to take with you on a mission. Now, if done correctly, you'll be now able to control this helping hand with a pair of real hands that are owned by your actual real mate. Huzzah! And what makes this mode so brilliant, aside from its sneaky inclusion, is that the companions you can get in the game, well, they can be truly overpowered, with some of the robots being immune to certain damage and others not even having a sprite on screen, meaning that they can fire endlessly without taking any repercussions or getting in the way of player one. Honestly, if you are a fan of combat-heavy action RPGs and love customizing mechanical monsters, Gun Hazard may well be for you and your mate with their real hands. Anyway, let's move on to talk about Marathon Infinity. So my friends, Vsauce entrance, what do you think of when the word bungee just pops into your head? Is it of the extreme sport where you jump off of high places with naught but a giant rubber band about your legs? Is it your gran who's misheard you talking about her pet budgie for the 4th time in a row? Turn on your hearing aid, Nan. Or is it that one developer who made that tiny little game known as Halo? And also that other game, Destiny, I think it was called. Well, did you know that they made other games? God, this intro is tenuous. Anyway, it turns out that their first game was called Marathon, which weirdly is also the name of their newly announced IP that they're working on. I bet that's a bit awkward for them. What's that? It's a reboot of the... Right, okay, well, I don't know, I look like a tit then. Anyway, back on track, Marathon Infinity is the 3rd game in this series and was... yeah, pretty okay, yeah. It had fun gunplay, some annoying switch puzzles, and looked about as good as any other Doom-esque follow-up of the era. But it's the multiplayer mode that we're talking about, and that was sublime silliness that everyone needs to play. And they totally can do, because it's still being supported by hardcore fans to this day, and is already available on the disc without any unlocks. So, what is it doing on this list? Haha, you fool, you've activated my trap card! As while the multiplayer mode is available to all, not all of the multiplayer mode is actually available. This is down to one of the net levels being hidden in a rather super complex method within the game itself. To unlock the strangely named Hats Off to 819, you'll need to not only find secret terminals in the first and last levels of the game, but then take the hex code that these terminals spew out, copy that into a text file, and then import that combined file into the game's code itself, upon which your reward is this super secret map. Even more strange is the fact that there seems to be a connection with the level's name and the height of the characters in this game, because most of them measure 8-19 units tall. And there's another Easter egg inside of this which reveals a logo for another game of Bungie's. It's a puzzle within a puzzle, and I tell you, I don't have any hair left to rub off, and in fact going to go through my skull, so we're just going to leave it here and say thank you, Marathon Infinity. Cheers for the blood that is now leaking out of my ears and eyes. Nice. And speaking of blood, let's suck it up as we talk about Mr. Mosquito. Now, sometimes a video game will come along and change the very face of the industry, either through its magnificent storytelling, its emotional connection with players, its all-time encounters with the mightiest of foes, or, as is in the case of Mr. Mosquito, by letting players suck blood out of a woman's arse. And yes, the weirdness does not stop there, friends, as Mr. Mosquito is all about stealing blood from a family without getting swatted, and allows players to dive their swipes and charge up to pierce whatever skin they can. It's an enjoyable romp which I'm genuinely surprised didn't get a sequel, but now will forever languish in the realm of mad concept ideas like Under the Skin or Adama, the pinball game which you also manage an army. It's a strategy game with a pinball edition. You didn't know you want it, but you do! So yeah, all of these games were weird, but Mr. Mosquito climbs to the top of this pile of oddities by also featuring a secret multiplayer minigame. This insane minigame is called Reckless Cyclists and can be unlocked by performing 10 rotations of the thumbstick on the main menu. Upon entering, you and your friend will be thrust into the seats of two cyclists atop a monstrous endless pillar, with the only goal being to knock each other off like that amazing Mario Party minigame. Build up your speed, choose your angle, and be careful not to fall off, and victory can be yours in the heady world of Reckless Cyclist. Imagine stumbling across this by accident. It is the stuff of playground legend. It's utterly brilliant. Thank you very much, Mr. Mosquito, for just always giving. Nathan,
yes.
Nathan, I am literally shaking with excitement because the Future Game Show Summer Showcase is just around the corner, and you and I are sharing the stage once more for the expansion pack that happens after it. So remember, Saturday, June the 8th at 12 PM PT, 3 PM ET and 8 PM BST, there will be a huge summer showcase of brand new games, trailers, dev interviews, and more, and...
Absolutely, that main show is going to be hosted by none other than Roger Clark and Brett Barron, who you may know as Arthur Morgan and Tifa Lockhart, and then the expansion pack is just us two losers. We've done
sorry about that.
Nothing of note.
But we will have games.
Yeah, we'll have games, we'll have trailers, exclusives, all that stuff, maybe even some good chat. So do you know what? Give us a chance. Come along and have a watch.
Yeah, please.
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 I'm not getting on my knees to beg, but
Please.
I will.
I've got a mortgage.
Yeah. See you there. And speaking of giving, let's talk about how Lunar Silver Star Story gave players quite the tough time if they were looking to unlock its secret minigame. Oh my, what's this long shadow that's casting itself over my studio and the entire RPG genre? Why, it's Lunar Silver Star Story. How did you get in? The door was locked. But also, let's take a look at this absolute towering example of how to make an all-time classic RPG. It's got a lovely art style, super charming music, and a battle system that focuses on distance from your enemies, meaning that you need to balance your party's placement in the battle arena at all times. In short, it's pretty bloody good. And it's also got an absolute doozy of a secret multiplayer mode. And I say this because Lords of Lunar, the Pong-esque minigame, isn't even on the main game disc, but it's actually only on the Making of Lunar disc that only comes with certain special editions of the game. Oh yes, baby, this is a deep cut with layers. So, not only do you need to hunt down specific copies, you then need to watch the making of disc until one of the devs mentions a certain code which you can then input, and finally you'll be able to play Lords of Lunar. And trust me, it was actually worth the wait, because this is Battle Royale Pong, in which you need to destroy other players' shields around their profile pic and be the last one standing. And with a multi-tap in hand, you and up to 4 players can play at once, and go up against tons of multiple computer-controlled opponents at the same time. It's actually a crime that this game is hidden so deep, because this game, if it was released on its own with online functionality, would be kind of the perfect party game. It's simplicity and perfection all rolled into one. Thumbs up. Right, my friends, it's time to dial things up by heading over to Shining Force 2. quick story time here. Story time with Jules. What will the egg talk about next? Anyway, it's a new segment that I'll probably forget about next week. Anyway, back in the day when my friend Liam and I were playing Final Fantasy IX, we were messing around in the systems menu and came across a setting that enabled 2-player mode. Now, seeing as we pretty much completed every single game we both owned together, even single-player ones, this was a dream come true. And while the functionality was limited to one player controlling half the party and the other player controlling the other half, it was still a brilliant thing to stumble upon. Yet when it comes to Shining Force 2, things get taken a lot further, as with a special code you can actually unlock the ability for player 2 to not help you out in battle, but straight up take control of your enemies. By entering this password on the opening screen, your best mate can become your worst enemy, and then your next worst enemy, and so on forever as they command the forces of evil to stop your quest. Strangely enough, this secret competitive mode can actually help mitigate some of the game's greater challenges, because with a bit of coordination and a helping hand, your buddy can purposefully scupper the enemy's chances of victory while you smash through their ranks, making it a mode designed for conflict that can, with a trustworthy pal, and I place heavy emphasis on that, become an all-timer co-op mode. Right, let's move on from talking about battling your friends to battling the concept of virtual reality as we chat about Statik. Now, much like when I find a dead seagull missing its head in my yard and know for a fact that Martin, the dead bird delivery guy, is on holiday, I love a good puzzle or mystery, especially when it comes to video games, as let's be honest, you can just turn them off when they annoy the out of you, which is always quite nice. Oh, and by the way, the mystery was that the next door neighbor's cat just thinks that I'm a really poor hunter. So cheers, thanks for destroying my self-esteem, animal who can't communicate with words. Anyway, let's talk about Statik, a PSVR exclusive title which, considering the way that things are going for that particular brand of hardware, may end up being forgotten to time in no short order. Still, as an act of preservation, let's take a look at this rather brilliant escape room / puzzle title and how it secretly has a multiplayer mode. Now, during normal play, and I use the term normal very loosely here because a normal time in Statik sees you with a device strapped to both of your hands with no idea how to unlock it and usually features a rather snarky scientist sitting nearby judging your every move, it's down to you and you alone to piece things together. However, if a friend downloads the PS app on their device, they can actually connect with another player in VR to solve puzzles together. On the second screen, they get information and certain perspectives on the puzzles that the headset can't actually see, adding in the challenge of communication to the already pretty weighty puzzles. And in all honesty, it's actually a pretty strange move from the devs and Sony themselves to not advertise this feature on the game's main page, because they even go so far as to list the game as a single-player title. And it's only thanks to a tweet from the devs themselves that I even was aware that this game had 2-player functionality. And so, my friends, let's close things out by talking about an all-timer classic, Psi-Ops, the Mindgate conspiracy. Oh my friends, you may notice that I'm doing my happy little dance right now, also known as I'm over 30 and my knees hurt quite badly here. And the reason for this is that I get to talk about a game that I absolutely adore and that my brother-in-arms Scott Tailford from What Culture and I champion every single chance we can. Because it's time to talk about Psi-Ops, the Mindgate conspiracy. Ooh, this game, man, is like a 6 or 7 out of 10 game. Like, it's got a severe lack of polish and an abundance of flaws, but it's still a blast to play. I mean, we all got games like this, right? I mean, these solid brass bullets, you wouldn't even call them solid gold bullets or solid silver, they're brass bullets in the chamber that we all love. Let me know down below, what is your brass bullet of gaming? Because this is sure as hell one of mine. And this psychic-laced action-adventure with a silly, gruff-voiced hero gets even better when you learn that Psi-Ops the Mindgate conspiracy actually had a secret multiplayer mode, which could be unlocked using this code in the cheats menu. God, remember them? Cheats? This would cost you about 20 quid in today's prices. Well, maybe this particular mode would cost about 2 quid, because while it is an amazing prospect, it's absolutely shit. So the gimmick here is that player 1 controls Nick's body and the other controls shooting and psychic powers, and yes, you can immediately see the stomach churning potential of this disastrous combination, because it really is quite horrible to try and play. It's a ridiculous time for sure and riotously fun, but it kind of makes Nick look less like a psychic warrior of legend and more like he's just had a lobotomy. That being said, we have to commend the devs for looking to provide fans with a unique and fun way to play the best game ever to be called Psi-Ops the Mindgate Conspiracy. And there we go, my friends, those were hidden multiplayer modes in video games from The Deep Cut with Jules Gill, baby. I hope that you enjoyed that, and let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section below. And if you want to follow me on the social medias, you can do so over here. And you can follow my lovely editor Mark over here on his social medias as well. But before I go, I want to talk about another hidden mode that we can all try and unlock today, and that is the power of positivity. Because you know what, my friends? I've looked out there, I've seen the world, I've seen and spoken to people. At least 2 of them. And you know what? Some people are way too hard on themselves. They deserve love and success. We all do as human beings in this world. And I just want you to treat yourself with kindness that I know you deserve. You are a massive ledge and you deserve nothing but the bloody best. So please take care of yourself, okay? Big love. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.